Now let's reverse the lesson. Now the student is going to attack. The instructor will parry. The student will disengage, followed by a flank cut. What's the student learning now? How to make the false attack, how to change direction, and how to hit the target. Again, this establishes turn-taking and roles and responsibilities. And this is how it would look reversing the lesson. One more time. And now from the student's point of view. Now, if we were to put all of this together, we're going to start, we're going to go from beginning to end, showing an actual lesson. See how many elements you recognize from today's lecture. One more time, just so you see it from the beginning. I want to make sure everyone can see it. Go back to safety for a moment. Again, clearly establishing roles and responsibilities and making sure that the student is truly ready. We need to make sure that happens. The other element is, in the ideal world, you have a fencing instructor who signs. How many of those do we have? But how many of those we're going to have? So probably we're going to have an interpreter involved. And this may very well happen, especially if we're working in the K-12 environment. We'll have interpreters. Their safety must be accounted for as well. And I'd like to clearly demonstrate why we need to make sure that they're very clearly taken care of. I'm going to show you the same sequence, normal motion, give you a slow motion version, and then back to normal speed so you can see exactly what's going on. Besides, I'm faster than I run. Okay. This is just the same motion over and over. But you see how fast that blade moves? The interpreter must be safe. Let's slow it down a bit. Watch the blade. Watch what happens to it. And if you have trouble seeing it, we'll kill the lights again. Even slow, you can see this can be a hazard to an interpreter. One more time. Again, back at normal speed. Watch how fast this goes. This is why the student must be ready and the interpreter must be safe. Okay, so now let's expand a little bit about the education part of it. We'll do the lights, and let me turn it over to Lisalee, and we'll take over.
Hello, everybody. We have deaf sports, we have basketball, bowling, golf. But really, there's not much research available on these sports. Most of the research is on how to advise deaf people. So we need more information. We know for a fact that technology is not related to this. So we need to plan how to implement the internet, because that's a very empowering tool to allow the student to learn, no matter what sport it is, fencing or anything else. We need much more technological use. For me, this is a huge part of my research. Teaching sports isn't just about teaching the how-to. It's teaching about how to build your self-esteem, how to create relationships, unity, interactions, how to work together better as a team. It's been proven that involvement in sports will also improve your academic life, math, science, and just life in general. This research here shows that anyone who is involved in sports has an increase in their general life abilities. For example, if a student becomes involved in fencing, it can improve their reading because they'll receive manuals about fencing. They'll have to learn about the language. They'll have to improve not only their signs, but also their reading. They're going to need to expand on their vocabulary in order to understand the manuals. Most of us, including me, don't become professional athletes. But sports can help us to just enjoy life, have a little pleasure from time to time. Watching TV is one thing, or you could maybe go volunteer at a baseball game, at a baseball park. You could be involved in maybe a community baseball team. So we're not just teaching how to fence, we're expanding a community. And again, you have to provide opportunities for the deaf students to increase their confidence, increase their self-esteem, and their knowledge in general. And again, like I said, it will enhance their math and English skills. So we want to be able to expand on those as well, not just teach fencing. Randall's done a lot of research about looking for deaf fencers, and there just really isn't research out there. So we need to be able to use technology in order to disseminate that information, not only for the American deaf community, but for those in other countries as well, so we can create that community.
A little credit to the people who have helped us put this together. A little bit of the research, if anyone's interested. We are available if you have questions. Certainly after we finish here today. You can contact us. And with that, questions?
If anyone has a question, would you mind coming up to the front, lining up to the front so that everyone can see your question? Come on, bring it, chicken.
How do you involve the deaf community? Is there research for community level, like sports for kids, either that for deaf or that?
We do have a curriculum for deaf sports, if that's what you're asking, but not enough. There isn't enough research. We definitely need to expand that research base. And a lot of the research is done at deaf residential schools, deaf schools, and unfortunately, there's just not a lot of opportunity, or there's just not that social ability. They a lot of times don't have the responsibility. The schools don't have people who are skilled enough to teach it. And if they are, the deaf students are disenfranchised, so we definitely need more. Where would the interpreter stand while you're teaching fencing? How would you best protect the interpreter?
Okay. Fencing is done on a long strip called a piste, P-I-S-T. It's about 40 feet long, about 6 feet wide, and the fencers will move back and forth in a straight line. And you saw how the two fencers in the video were going back and forth, but they weren't really stepping all over. From the perspective of the student would stand, let's say where Lisalee is, the instructor would stand where I'm standing. The interpreter would stand on either side of the strip and far enough away. Going back to the question of safety, one of the things that we made sure of in terms of the research, if the interpreter is somehow involved in this training as well, if there's the equipment that they should have, they'll have it. They understand the terminology, they understand the movements, so they have to get used to it as well. That's part of their protection. So they may very well have a mask, they may very well have a protective jacket, but they would stand out of the way from the strip, far enough away so that the blades don't hurt.
Also, in our paper, we expand more in depth about how to use the interpreter, where they would stand, lighting. For example, this presentation was only 30 minutes, so we didn't have time to explain all of that, but our paper does go more into depth on that. That was a good question.
So the use of interpreters and the safety of the interpreters, we will address this specifically, and that is important in any sport, not just fencing. Other questions? Come on, don't be shy.
So fencing is a part of the Deaf Olympics?
It is not.
No, not now. Is it going to be?
That is the $64,000 question. Actually, I recently contacted a deaf fencer who was frustrated by the fact that there's no system, so I created one, but there's no recognized system. It's not a popular sport. And the Deaf Olympics has said, okay, we'll support these different sports. Fencing is not one of them. To get one going, as he informed me, there have to be many, many communities that have expressed an interest in it. Well, you have to bring the sport to the community, provide the support, then you'll get the necessary interest, which provides the support. So we're actually a solution in search of a problem. It's really what this is. So, no. So with that, bring it to a close. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Two announcements really quickly. First one, if you do need an interpreter, now is a good time to request one because not all workshops are interpreted. And second of all, the blue paper for interpreters who are maybe in the room, that's for your CEUs, your professional credits. Please make sure that we get that stamped in room 216, right? 214. Excuse me, 214. Okay. We'd like to thank you for your presentation. It was very enjoyable, and we have a gift for you. Thank you again.